What is going on, everybody? Welcome on into another edition of Schmoozed. Now, I will say this is the first time I've had a governor on the program. We got Governor Shapiro in the house. What is going on? Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, man, it's good to be with you. A little tired this morning, up late night, waiting for Howie's pick to come in, but it was a good night. It was a fun night.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I was over at WIP waiting for the pick, and I know last year pick 32 was at 11:47, so I had to prepare the whole body clock into the wee hours of the morning. But look, I guess we'll start there. We'll start with the first round selection. We're recording this Friday afternoon, so we don't know what happens yet in round 2, round 3 moving forward. But what a shock to see a linebacker get taken in the first round. What was your instant reaction?
I mean, look, first off, when Howie starts to tinker, you just know something good's about to happen, right? We knew we had some holes on defense, given some of the tough choices they had to make, salary cap and what have you. I think Howie made a great pick. I really do. And I think he understands what this team needs to continue to play at the high level that he made. And I love Campbell's love of Philly. I mean, I think that that's like an intangible here. Guy's obviously supremely talented. Probably could have been a top 10 pick, right? And we snagged him at 31 or whatever at the end of the day. I just think he's got that special intangible. He wants to be on the Birds. He wants to play for the Eagles. I mean, he's basically from Philly. He's South Jersey, which is basically Philly, right? And I don't know. I love the pick. I think it's a really good move.
Yeah, I think he's just one of those guys who is a weapon, and you can put him anywhere, and he's going to be able to do a lot of different things. And it's funny you bring up the background. I'm a South Jersey guy myself, so I always get looked down upon. Oh, you're not from. Whoa. You're going to take
for the Birds. You're good.
You're going to take credit to this kid from South Jersey, but I can't be from the Philadelphia area. It doesn't work like that. But all jokes aside, I do think that when you get to walk into the NovaCare complex and see, Lane Johnson's work ethic, and you get to see Howie Roseman's work ethic and Nick Sirianni's work ethic, and, what it means to be a Philadelphia Eagles fan his whole life as well, and you're just in that environment nonstop, I got to imagine that pushes you in a way that you can't duplicate,
I think it does. Look, if he's showing up a mature player, a player with great talent, a player that wants to be here, which is big. And then to your point, you're around pros like Lane Johnson, right? BG's not there anymore, but the culture BG had, the culture that Kelsey created on the offensive side of the ball, the priority that the Birds put on both lines, I think is also really important. That's not typical of every team. And so I think just all of that together is going to make Jihad a great fit with the Birds and, really needed piece for us.
Yeah, it's funny because I think what you saw last year out of Zach Baun was the importance of that position. And I almost feel Howie was thinking, hold on a second. Impact player can be, linebacker or whatever. And when you see Zach Baun do that, it's almost as if, all right, let's see now what the next step is. Here's a younger version. You know what I mean? I think that's got to be in the mindset here of Howie.
Without question. And Howie knew he wanted this guy, right? I mean, that's why he traded up. I don't know what was going on behind the scenes, why he felt that he needed to trade up to do it, but he got his guy. And by the way, didn't really give anything up for it. The opposite of the Jaguars, who gave up a king's ransom to move up, 3 spots. I thought that was a ridiculous move on their part, but whatever. The reality is Howie knew what he wanted. He went out and got it. We'll see what he does in these later rounds, but he's going to fill the holes we need filled. And Howie we trust.
That's correct. Oh, there's no doubt about it. I got a couple big picture stuff for the Birds, So on WIP, Jalen Hurts is always going to be a discussion. Now, sure. I want your true, honest assessment on it. In the beginning, not to go too far back, but at the beginning, I'm thinking, what are we doing? What are we doing here? When he first got drafted, Carson Wentz deal, I'm going, what are we doing here? But I've learned to love him. And I understand that to the eye, it's not Josh Allen, it's not Pat Mahomes, but I don't care about to the eye. I just know the dude wins nonstop. He's unbelievable. So that's how I feel. But I understand it doesn't have that same appeal as the prototypical other quarterbacks. But what's your whole vibe on the Jalen Hurts experience?
I guess I'd push back on you a little bit on the vibe piece. I think this guy, obviously a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. I think you'd have to put him at number 1 this season. At least I certainly would. I realize that's a little bit of a homer pick here, but it's also a head pick. I think what impresses me the most about Jalen Hurts, right, is not just his physical strength and his ability to use his physical strength either with his arm or with his legs, but his mental strength. I mean, this guy is locked in. He works harder than anyone I've seen. And I'll just share two personal anecdotes with you, which I think really shape how I feel about the guy. My kids had the chance to go to training camp last year. I was about to say spring training, and
no, not that team. Not that team.
We need to talk about the Phillies, by the way. But my kids were at training camp, and afterwards the guys come and they sign stuff, whatever. And Jalen went right inside. My kids later saw him alone lifting after a long practice. He needed to get extra work in while other guys were done practicing. Fast forward now to the end of the season. We get off the parade buses, go inside the art museum. Guys are eating and, drinking, doing whatever they're doing. Jalen Hurts was seated by himself, almost like just gathering his thoughts, processing things, kind of getting mentally centered. I won't get into the specifics, but we ended up having a really nice conversation about that. And I will just tell you that his mental toughness is what I think makes him a champion, beyond just his physical strength, beyond the tush push, beyond his great passing ability and running ability. He is locked in mentally, and I think that's what makes him a premier quarterback now, and will make him a premier quarterback in this league for so many years. So nothing against a Josh Allen or a Pat Mahomes. I mean, they're obviously incredibly talented. I just think that the mental toughness of Jalen Hurts puts him at the top of the list.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, that's sort of a very similar stance that I take with, a lot of these people out there. Yeah. It's just one of those things, though, that I just feel with Jalen, unfortunately for him, it's just never going to go away. Now, maybe it's just the nature of the beast of being a quarterback in the city of Philadelphia. But I even go back to, like prior to this, Donovan McNabb was, now he did it for a long time, but never got to actually get the Super Bowl trophy.
Didn't get the Super Bowl. Right.
But he never got the respect he deserved when he was bringing us to NFC Championship, NFC Championship, NFC Championship. And maybe just one of those things where unless you are perfect to a T, you're just going to get ripped and criticized in this town. It's weird, though. It is weird.
It's a little different. But listen, we love our teams. We love our players. I think Philly fans are tough on themselves, and they're tough on the players. This is a gritty town. First off, I mean, Donovan McNabb, I didn't grow up with him. I was a little bit, older by the time he was in his prime. He didn't win a chip. He just didn't, right? Jalen Hurts, has won, and he's been there in the big game twice. So I think, they're different players, and I think we've got to understand that. I think it is also true that, and by the way, for all of you people out there who think I'm hating on Donovan McNabb, I'm not. I'm just saying it's different, right? You look at McNabb's entire career and Jalen Hurts' short career so far. Hurts has won it, right? And he's accomplished more on that front. We are tough as fans on players across the board, right? In every sport. I mean, I think you've seen a number of the Sixers cycle in and out. It just didn't, the Philly fans didn't embrace him. Ben Simmons is a great example. Markelle Fultz, right? Another example of that. But then you've also seen the other side of Philly fans, which is the unbelievable love we will show you when you're down and you're still scrapping and fighting. Trey Turner last year, standing ovation. And then all of a sudden, boom, the guy rockets out in the second half of the season and leads the Phils into the playoffs and has a great end of the season. So I know that Eagles fans, Philly fans are tough, but they also show unbelievable love too. We love our teams. We pour our heart and souls into our teams. And I think that's what makes this community so damn special.
Yeah, no, listen, I agree, but this is what bothers me, as obviously the Eagles are number one, and all we ever wanted in life was a Super Bowl and this and that, and I'm preparing myself for the worst, meaning you're right. When they show, all kinds of things, we love them and embrace them. So then why am I going to take 4 hours of phone calls next Eagle season about how Jalen Hurts stinks after he's brought us to 2 Super Bowls and won one? I can't stand it.
Dude, it's the way it's always been. It's unbelievable. I mean, how about just like watching a game with Birds fans? Like, oh my God, they're terrible. Oh my God, they're going to the Super Bowl. It's like, it's ridiculous. It's
I know.
but this is the way it's always been.
I know. I sit here and complain about it. That's my job, and I love what I do. So I'm just as much of the problem. I get it. All right, let me ask you this: Nick Sirianni. All right. Yeah. Whew, he's another one where in the beginning.
By the way, you say Nick Sirianni with the most ultimate Delco.
Everyone thinks I'm from Delco, but I'm South Jersey through and through.
You got the Delco sound.
I know. It's unbelievable. But Nick Sirianni, anyway, in the beginning, I hated him. And then now I love him. It's the same thing as Jalen. I learned to love these characters. What do you got to say about just his perseverance over everything, really, but specifically the 2-2 start and people saying he should lose his job, and now he's a Super Bowl champ?
Yeah. So a few things, I guess. That opening press conference, I think that was the one with we got to plant things and then they grow. And remember when he was doing that whole weird thing?
Yeah, that was there was the first initial one, which was just him fumbling over his words. Right. Then that was a mid-season one a few years back.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about, though. That was weird, man. I thought that was really strange. And I'm like, what is this guy talking about? But I'll tell you what. I started to really appreciate this guy, and there's a few inflection points. This is when you learn about leaders, right? Whether they can adapt in moments of adversity. Last season, so not the Super Bowl season, the one, whatever you call that, 2 seasons ago now at this point. What are we, 10-2? We drop like our last 5. We go out in the first round or something like that. It was a terrible end of the season. And he completely remade his coaching staff, and he changed his role in game day coaching. Right? He knew enough to learn from that negative experience. Come back to this last season, the Super Bowl season. What happens? 2-2, sputtering start, bye week. The guy makes changes, doesn't lose the locker room. Guys like you were on the radio saying, fire Nick, get rid of him. People are calling in. But he doesn't lose the locker room. He gets guys locked in, and he gets them focused on how they can make a run. Now, I'm sure at that moment he didn't know they were going to make a Super Bowl run, but he turned that around in a moment of adversity. You learn a lot about leaders when they're tested, when they're down, when they're getting hit, and how they respond to that. And those were a few moments, right, where I saw Nick Sirianni demonstrate real leadership and strong leadership, and us Eagles fans are better off because of it.
Yeah, one trait that I think is so important out of the Nick Sirianni experience is I don't know if he's necessarily the Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan creative offense that wows you type of guy, but he really does believe in caring for the people around you. And when you do have that relationship with the guy standing next to you in your stall, you just organically play the game for one another differently. And when you don't have that, I know there's a few examples of everyone says, well, Kobe didn't like Shaq. And like, okay, but that takes a Kobe Bryant who was 1 in a million for that to even work out. More times than not, if you don't like each other in that room, then it's not going to work. So I love that. I think he's elite in that aspect of.
He figures out how to get them all together.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah. And when you have a great leader like Jalen Hurts, a quiet leader, but a strong leader like Jalen Hurts, together with a great coach like that understands the intangibles of those interpersonal relationships, right? So you got a guy like Jalen who can walk over to the locker and say, yo, cut it out. We got to go play. Or the ability of Sirianni to put his arm around you and say, yo, come on, we need you right now. There's just something special about that. It really is.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, I got one more for you here, and then we can kind of wrap things up. But the Super Bowl, I mean, listen, I felt so confident they were going to win. I didn't have nerves that day, but I didn't think it was going to go like that.
Right.
Walk me through your experience of watching that game. What was it like at the Governor Shapiro household? If you watched it there, wherever you went, wherever you were experiencing the game.
Yeah, well, actually, I was at the Super Bowl.
Okay, there you go. I kind of figured that. I kind of figured maybe that was a possibility.
Yeah. Leading up to the game, just walking through the streets of New Orleans with Eagles tailgates everywhere, seeing fans just feeling good and not being nervous, being loose. I mean, we talked about this before. We Philly fans, particularly guys like me who lived through all those lean years, right? We are not a naturally, confident people. We're a nervous wreck on game day, right? And folks were just happy, and it was awesome. Got in the stadium and was in there watching. And the first drive, bad call. All of a sudden, you're like, oh, here we go. They're rigging it for the Chiefs. And then all of a sudden, we start to pull ahead, and we're coming out of halftime in the third quarter. And Laura and I are blessed with 4 kids. One of our kids says, "This is over." And I was like, "What are you doing? We're going to lose now. You're jinxing them. Come on." Right? Because I lived through these years where it always ended up bad, but it didn't, obviously. And it went the other way. And it was an incredible win. And it was such a point of pride as the governor of Pennsylvania to see one of our teams just conduct themselves so wonderfully, play at such a high level, take that adversity of 2-2 and go on a run and have it lead to not only winning the Super Bowl, but by the way, beating the defending champs, beating the team that everybody regarded as the best team. I think there's something special about that when you not only win, but you beat the best. And I thought it was just awesome. And I got to tell you, I was so happy for Jeffrey, a great owner who's invested in this team, believes in the city, gives us a chance to compete for a championship year after year after year. I don't think we say enough good things about Jeffrey Lurie and what he's built. And of course, to see Howie and the front office team, to see like their vision back at right this time of year when they're building it come to fruition at the end, it's really, really special and couldn't have been happier.
They're the gold standard-ish. There's a few. I still think people are looking at Kansas City and whatnot when you're constantly there, but we're at the point now where everyone looks at them and tries to copy what they're doing because they're ahead of the game, and that's all we ever dreamed of, and now here we are.
We are. And
it's amazing.
Look, nothing's forever, but we're in a strong position, and I think what I also look to season after season is when you remove a piece of the puzzle, particularly important pieces, and we lost a few of them this year, whether BG from retirement or, CJGJ or whatever from having to let him go because salary cap, whatever. Howie has always figured out how to replace that piece, or the coach and Howie and others know when it's time to elevate that guy who is at the second rung up to starting and a starting role. And so I think I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic for the long haul here.
Yeah, so am I. All right, listen, before I let you go, Phils, do you want to get something off your chest? I mean, at the time of this, they just got swept by the Mets, and I've already screamed for about 4 days in frustration. So go. The floor is yours. Go ahead.
Look, it is a long season. My glass is always half full.
Okay.
It's a long season. The Phils usually stink in April. So I'm going to keep sort of telling myself that. Last year, we were pretty good in April, but we're not usually a great spring team. We usually get hot in the dog days of summer, and we get on a roll. We've got an excellent starting pitching staff, right? We got an excellent rotation. Our bats, when they come alive, should be right up there with be able to compete with any other team. The bullpen for the last number of years has really been hit or miss, and it's been miss for the last, whatever it's been, 3 weeks or so. And I am worried about that, obviously. John Middleton, though, is another example of an owner that's invested a lot in bringing a championship here. Dombrowski seems to, make the moves that we need made, but now these guys just got to go out and play. They got to play. The ownership and the front office has made the investment. Our guys got to figure out how to go play. I'd be lying to you if I told you I was not a little bit crazed by what's going on, but it is early and it's a long season, and we're still pretty in there.
Yeah, they tick me off. They tick me
Why
off.
do they tick you off?
Because I think that you're right, that if their offense can get going, then they're great. But
Yeah.
I just feel like I agree, but I just feel like I've been saying that for 4 years. And at some point, I'm going to look myself in the mirror and say, are you going to say it for a 5th year? Are you going to say that for a 6th year?
That's fair. I mean, that's a fair question about Bohm and some of these other guys. Like at some point, right, we've not hit the ball well once we get into the playoffs, right? And so at some point, do you say these guys just can't hit the ball well? I don't know. I'm not there yet. I also don't think we have an option at this point.
You're right.
I mean,
yes.
We're spending a lot of money. They're spending a lot of money. And they made these deals. We're kind of locked in here. And so I think you got to ride it. And you got to be confident. You can't get too down.
All right. I'll try my very best. I'll take your words of wisdom.
I don't know that you're going to be great at that.
Yeah. My guess is I'm not. But with
what does your attire look like if the Phils sweep the next series?
If they sweep the Cubs, I'll be rocking my Phillies. I'll have a maroon Phillies old school logo on. Oh, I'll go maroon with the maroon hat, very similar to this one, just the old school piece. I'll double up. I'll double up. I'm a double up with it. You know what I mean?
The double up is bold, I got to tell you.
Yeah.
Well, it's a bold move.
Wait till the Flyers win the cup. I'll be all orange.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
A lot of orange, my man.
It's a lot of orange. But with that, Governor Shapiro, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate your time. And go Birds.
Go Birds.